Captain Lisa Morgan walked through the cold metal halls of Nexus Point Station. Her boots made soft sounds on the floor. She carried a simple datapad in her hands. Around her, aliens and elves moved with purpose. They all looked stronger than her. They all looked faster than her. But Lisa did not care about that. The emergency meeting room was huge. Lisa had never seen so many different species in one place. The elves sat on one side of the long table. Their leader was Commander Cyrileth Moonwhisper. She had long silver hair and bright blue eyes. Her uniform was made of some shining material that seemed to move like water. The elves whispered to each other in their musical language. On the other side sat the aliens. War Prime Zex Thara was a big reptile creature with dark green scales. Her eyes were yellow and sharp. Next to her was Hive Speaker Velnara. She looked like a giant insect with 4 arms and clicking sounds coming from her mouth. The aliens made low growling noises when they talked. Lisa sat in the middle. She was the only human in the room. Dr. Amy Carter stood behind her chair. Amy was a small woman with brown hair and glasses. She carried a bag full of research notes. Lieutenant Kate Sullivan stood by the door. Kate had red hair and green eyes. She looked calm, but Lisa knew Kate was watching everything. The lights dimmed. A huge screen showed pictures of destroyed planets. The images made everyone quiet. Whole worlds were gone. Nothing was left but empty space and floating rocks. "The Void Swarm has taken 12 systems in the past month," said Commander Cyrileth. Her voice was clear and strong. "Our magic cannot stop them. Our weapons barely hurt them. They eat everything in their path." War Prime Zex Thara hit the table with her clawed hand. "My fleets attacked them 3 times. Each time they learned from our moves. They became stronger. They became smarter. Now they know all our tricks." Hive Speaker Velnara clicked her mandibles. "The collective mind of my people cannot understand them. They think in ways that make no sense. They do not follow any rules we know." Lisa looked at the screen. The Void Swarm ships were black and twisted. They moved like living things through space. She had studied the reports for weeks. The swarm was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. "We must work together," said Commander Cyrileth. "The Council of Worlds has decided. All species will. Join forces, or we will all die." "The elves bring the best technology," said Scholar Valen Starweaver. She was an older elf with white hair. "Our ships can travel faster than light in ways others cannot copy. Our weapons use the power of stars." War Prime Zex Thara nodded. "The Korthak Empire has the biggest fleet. Millions of ships. Billions of warriors. We are not afraid to die in battle." Hive Speaker Velnara spoke next. "The Chitauri Collective thinks as one mind. We can coordinate attacks across many systems at the same time. Our numbers are like the stars in the sky." All eyes turned to Lisa. She felt the weight of their stares. The elves looked down at her like she was a child. The aliens seemed to think she was too small to matter. "What do humans bring to this alliance?" asked Commander Cyrileth. Her tone was polite, but Lisa could hear the real question. What could the weakest species in the galaxy possibly offer? Lisa stood up slowly. She put her hands on the table and looked at each leader. "We will handle reconnaissance," she said in a quiet voice. War Prime Zex Thara made a sound like a laugh. "Scouting? That is all?" "Humans are good at watching and learning," Lisa said. "We can go places others cannot. We can see things others miss. We are small and quiet." Scholar Valen whispered something to Commander Cyrileth in the elf language. Lisa caught a few words. She knew they were talking about human limitations. How humans were slow. How humans were weak. How humans had no special powers. "Very well," said Commander Cyrileth. "Humans will provide intelligence gathering. The rest of us will handle the real fighting." The first battle plan was simple. The elves would use their fast ships to hit the swarm from long range. The alien fleets would attack head-on with overwhelming force. Humans would scout ahead and report enemy positions. Lisa listened to the plan. She nodded at the right times. She asked simple questions that made her seem eager to help. Inside, she was thinking about something else entirely. The meeting ended 3 hours later. Plans were made. Ships were assigned. Everyone had their jobs. As the leaders left, Lisa gathered her small team. "Amy, I need you to study everything about swarm behavior," Lisa said. "Every report, every scan, every piece of data we have." "What am I looking for?" Amy asked. "Patterns, weaknesses, anything that does not make sense." Lisa turned to Kate. "I want you to volunteer for the most dangerous scout missions. Get as close to the swarm as possible." Kate smiled. It was not a nice smile. "How close?" "Close enough to touch them." 3 days later, the combined fleet moved to intercept a swarm, advance force. Lisa watched from the command center as the battle began. The elves struck first. Their weapons lit up space with brilliant colors. The alien ships charged forward like an angry tide. For a moment, it looked like the plan would work. The swarm. Ships seemed confused. They scattered and tried to retreat. Then, everything changed. The swarm ships suddenly moved in perfect coordination. They turned and surrounded the elf fast attack group. The alien charge ran into a trap of swarm reinforcements that appeared from nowhere. In 30 minutes, the Alliance lost 40 ships. The swarm lost 3. Commander Cyrillith called an emergency meeting. Her perfect face showed anger and confusion. "They knew our plan. They were ready for everything we did." "Impossible," growled War Prime Zex Thara. "Our communications were secure. Our ships moved in secret." Lisa studied the battle recordings on her data pad. She made notes in small handwriting. She circled certain numbers. She drew arrows between different events. Captain Morgan said, "Commander Cyrillith, what did your scouts observe?" Lisa looked up from her data pad. She seemed surprised by the question. "Oh, well, the swarm ships move very fast. They seemed to know where our ships would be." "Did you see how they coordinated?" "Their response?" asked Scholar Valen. "I'm not sure," Lisa said. "It happened so quickly. Humans are not as good at seeing these things as elves or aliens." Commander Cyrillith sighed. "Very well. We will plan a different attack. Something they cannot predict." Lisa nodded. She looked humble and eager to help. But Amy noticed something. Lisa's eyes were bright. There was something in her expression that did not match her words. The meeting ended with new plans. Bigger attacks, more complex strategies. Everyone was determined to prove their strength against the swarm. Lisa walked back to her quarters with Amy and Kate. The human section of the station was small and plain compared to the elegant elf areas or the imposing alien zones. "Lisa," Amy said quietly, "you saw something in that battle, didn't you?" Lisa smiled. It was the first real smile Amy had seen from her in days. "I saw exactly what I hoped to see," Lisa said. "The swarm thinks logically, they plan efficiently, they expect everyone else to do the same." Kate raised an eyebrow. "And?" "They have never fought humans before," Lisa said. "They do not know that logic and efficiency are not our strong points." Amy looked confused. "What do you mean?" Lisa pulled out her datapad. She showed them notes and diagrams that looked random to anyone else. "They study their enemies and learn to counter them. But what if their enemy is not really trying to win?" "You want us to lose battles on purpose?" Kate asked. "I want us to lose battles in ways that teach them the wrong lessons," Lisa said. "I want them to think they understand us when they do not understand us at all." Amy stared at the datapad. Slowly, she began to smile, too. "You want to lie to them." "Not just lie," Lisa said. "I want to become so good at lying that they build their entire strategy around our lies, and when they do that, we will have them exactly where we want them. The three women sat in Lisa's small quarters and began to plan. Outside, the elves and aliens prepared for honorable battle against a superior enemy. They planned to fight with courage and strength and hope for the best, but humans had a different plan entirely. Dr. Amy Carter sat in her lab for 16 hours straight. Her eyes were red from staring at screens. Coffee cups covered her desk. She had been watching videos of swarm attacks over and over again. The swarm moved like a machine. Every action had a purpose. They never wasted energy. They never made mistakes. When they saw a pattern, they learned from it immediately. Amy rubbed her tired eyes. She pulled up another video. This one showed a swarm fleet attacking an elf colony. The elves tried to trick them with false signals. The swarm fell for it once. The second time, they ignored the false signals completely. The third time, they used the false signals to track down the real elf ships. They learn too fast, Amy said to herself, but they only learn what they see. She made a note on her data pad. The swarm was smart, but they thought everyone else was smart too. They expected logical moves. They expected efficient plans. They expected enemies to always try their best. Amy smiled. That was their weakness. Lieutenant Kate Sullivan was 300 miles from the nearest friendly ship. Her small scout vessel drifted in empty space. She had turned off most of her engines. To anyone watching, her ship looked damaged. Kate watched. Her sensors. Swarm ships moved in the distance. They were heading toward the main battle zone, where the Alliance fleets were fighting. Kate counted them carefully. 12 ships, all heavily armed. She waited until they were close. Then she sent out a distress signal. The swarm ships stopped. They turned toward her position. Kate held her breath. This was the dangerous part. The lead swarm ship came closer. It scanned Kate's vessel. Kate had prepared for this. Her ship really was damaged. She had broken several systems on purpose. Her life support was failing. Her weapons were offline. The swarm ship sent out a signal. Kate's computer translated it. Surrender or be destroyed. Kate sent back a simple message. I surrender. Please do not kill me. The swarm ship moved even closer. Kate could see its black surface through her window. It looked like metal that was alive. Parts of it moved and twisted in ways that hurt to watch. A beam of light came from the swarm ship. It pulled Kate's vessel inside a large opening. Kate found herself in a cargo bay filled with strange machinery, creatures that looked like shadows, with too many arms moved around her ship. Kate activated a hidden recorder. Everything she saw and heard would be sent back to Lisa's team. But the transmission would not go out right away. It would wait and send the data when the swarm was distracted. The shadow creatures opened Kate's ship. They pulled her out with their dark arms. Kate did not resist. She looked scared and helpless. They brought her to a room filled with screens and lights. In the center was something that might have been a brain. It was huge and gray and covered with tubes. The brain spoke, without moving. Its voice came from everywhere at once. You are human, it said. Your species is weak. Why do you fight us? Kate looked around with wide eyes. She acted like she was terrified. We do not want to fight. We are just following orders. Your leaders force you to fight? Yes, Kate said. The elves and aliens make all the decisions. Humans just do what we are told. The brain made a sound like static. This is inefficient. Why do your leaders use weak soldiers? Kate hung her head. Because we are not important. We do the dangerous jobs so the strong ones do not have to. What jobs do humans perform? Scouting mostly. We go ahead of the main fleets and report what we see. You gather intelligence? Yes. But we are not very good at it. We miss a lot of things. The brain was quiet for a long moment. Kate could hear machines humming around her. We will keep you alive, the brain finally said. You will tell us about human scout patterns. Kate nodded eagerly. I will tell you everything. I do not want to die. Meanwhile, Captain Lisa Morgan sat in another strategy meeting. Commander Cyrileth was angry. The latest battle had gone badly again. The Alliance had lost 30 ships this time. They anticipate our every move, Cyrileth said. It is, as if they can read our minds. War Prime Zexthara slammed her fist on the table. My warriors are brave, but bravery means nothing if the enemy knows where we will attack. Lisa looked at her notes. She had been suggesting small changes to the battle plans. Nothing big, just tiny adjustments that seemed helpful. Maybe we should spread out more, Lisa said. If we attack from many directions, they cannot be ready for all of them. That would weaken our main assault, said Scholar Vaylin. But it might confuse them, Lisa said. Humans learn to hunt in packs. We surround our prey and attack from all sides. Commander Cyrileth considered this. It could work. We will try it in the next engagement. Lisa nodded. She made more notes on her datapad, but she was not writing about the battle plan. She was writing about how to make the plan fail in exactly the right way. 3 days later, Amy made a discovery. She found Kate's hidden transmission buried in the Alliance communication logs. Kate had been captured, but she was alive. And she was feeding information to the swarm. Amy ran to find Lisa. She found her in the human quarters, eating a simple meal. Lisa, Kate has been captured, Amy said. But look at this. Amy showed Lisa the transmission data. It contained everything. Kate had told the swarm about human scout patterns. But there was something else hidden in the code. She is lying to them, Amy said with excitement. Look at these scout routes she described. Half of them are wrong, and the timing information is completely false. Lisa read through Kate's report. Kate had told the swarm that humans always scouted 3 hours before an attack. She said humans use simple communication codes. She said humans always retreated when they saw superior numbers. None of it was true. She is making us sound even. Weaker than they thought, Lisa said. And she is giving them false information about our methods. Amy pulled up more data. It gets better. The swarm is changing their patrol patterns based on what Kate told them. They are positioning their ships to catch human scouts that will never come. And leaving other areas undefended, Lisa finished. Kate is doing exactly what we hoped. The next battle was the biggest yet. The Alliance brought 200 ships. The swarm had 300. On paper, the swarm should have won easily. Lisa watched from the command center as the battle began. The Alliance ships spread out just like she had suggested. They attacked from 12 different directions. At first, it looked like another disaster. The swarm ships moved to counter each attack group. They seemed ready for everything. But then something strange happened. A group of human scouts reported enemy ships in the wrong position. The swarm had moved their forces to intercept scouts that were not really there. This left a gap in their defensive line. Commander Cyrileth noticed the gap. All ships concentrate fire on Grid 77 Alpha, she ordered. The elf and alien ships turned toward the weak spot. For 10 minutes, they poured weapons fire into the gap. When the smoke cleared, 15 swarm ships were destroyed. The swarm tried to close the gap, but that created new weak spots. The Alliance ships kept finding openings that should not have existed. By the end of the battle, the Alliance had won. They lost 40 ships, but the swarm lost 60. Commander Cyrileth was amazed. How did we find so many openings in their defense? Lisa looked at her datapad. She seemed confused. I am not sure. Maybe they made mistakes. War Prime Zexthara made a growling sound of approval. Finally, we hurt them more than they hurt us. But Scholar Vaylin was watching Lisa carefully. She had noticed something strange about the human captain. Lisa always seemed surprised when good things happened, but her surprises never seemed quite real. After the meeting, Vaylin approached Lisa in the corridor. Captain Morgan, she said, may I speak with you privately? Lisa nodded. They walked to a quiet observation deck. Through the windows, they could see the Alliance fleet regrouping after the battle. "You have been suggesting many small changes to our tactics," Valen said. "Changes that seem minor but have significant effects." "I just try to help," Lisa said. "Humans may be weak, but we see things differently sometimes." "Yes," Valen said slowly. "You do see things differently. The question is, what exactly are you seeing?" Lisa looked out at the stars. "I see an enemy that thinks too much like a machine. They expect everyone to be logical, but logic is not always the best strategy." "What is better than logic?" Lisa turned to face the elf scholar. For just a moment, her expression was completely serious. "Making your enemy think they understand you when they do not understand you at all." Valen stared at her. "That sounds almost like—" "Like what?" Lisa asked, returning to her innocent expression. "Like deception." "Humans are not smart enough for real deception," Lisa said. "We just try to survive by being unpredictable." Valen watched Lisa walk away. The elf scholar was very old and very wise. She had studied many species over the centuries. She knew when someone was hiding something. But she also knew that sometimes the best way to win a war was to let your allies keep their secrets. That night, Amy finished her analysis of swarm behavior patterns. She had found something interesting. The swarm was starting to change their tactics. They were becoming less efficient. They were making moves that did not make perfect sense. Amy realized what was happening. The swarm was learning from humans. But humans had been teaching them the wrong lessons on purpose. The swarm was becoming more human-like in their thinking. The alarm bells rang through Nexus Point Station. Red lights flashed in every corridor. Captain Lisa Morgan ran toward the command center with Dr. Amy Carter close behind. Other officers rushed past them, their faces filled with fear. In the command center, chaos ruled. The main screen showed a massive swarm fleet moving toward the elf homeworld of Ethermore. There were thousands of ships, more than anyone had ever seen in one place. Commander Cyrillith stood perfectly still in the center of the room. Her face was pale but calm. Around her, elf officers worked at their stations with desperate speed. "How long until they reach Ethermore?" Cyrillith asked. 18 hours, replied an elf technician. "Maybe 20 if they stop to destroy the outer defense stations." War Prime Zexthara studied the display with her yellow eyes. "My fleets are 3 days away. We cannot reach you in time." Hive speaker Velnara clicked her mandibles rapidly. "The collective agrees. The distance is too great. Ethermore will fall before help arrives." Lisa looked at the screen. The numbers were clear. The swarm had brought enough ships to destroy the elf homeworld completely. Even if every Alliance ship came to help, they would arrive too late. "We need to evacuate the planet," Lisa said quietly. Everyone turned to look at her. Commander Cyrilleth's eyes were bright with unshed tears. "Evacuate 4 billion elves in 18 hours?" Cyrilleth said. "Impossible. We do not have enough ships." "How many transport ships do you have?" Lisa asked. "Perhaps 2,000. Each can carry 50,000 people if we remove all cargo space." Lisa did the math in her head. 2,000 ships times 50,000 people. 100 million elves. That left almost 4 billion with no way to escape. "What about human ships?" Lisa asked. "We have fast cargo vessels. They are not as big as elf transports, but they might help." Scholar Valen shook her head. "Human ships are too slow. They use primitive FTL drives. By the time they reach Ethermore, the swarm will already be there." Lisa nodded as if she agreed. But Amy noticed something. Lisa was making small marks on her datapad. She was drawing what looked like shipping routes. "You are right," Lisa said. "Human ships are too slow for a direct route. But what if we do not take a direct route?" "What do you mean?" asked Commander Cyrilleth. Human ships can use hyperspace, lanes that elf ships cannot, Lisa said. Our drives are crude, but they work in areas where refined technology fails. We could take the long way around and arrive at the same time. War Prime Zexathara made a skeptical noise. That makes no sense. The long way takes longer, not shorter. Usually, yes, Lisa said. But human pilots know routes through unstable space, dangerous areas where gravity fluctuates. Elf ships would be torn apart, but human ships are built to handle rough conditions. Amy stared at Lisa. This was news to her. She had never heard of these special routes. Commander Cyrilleth looked desperate enough to try anything. How many people? Could human ships evacuate? Maybe 50 million, Lisa said. If we strip out everything except life support, it was not enough. Not nearly enough. But 50 million lives was better than nothing. Do it, Cyrilleth said. Take whoever you can save. Lisa nodded. We will need complete passenger lists and priority assignments. The most important people first. No, said Commander Cyrilleth firmly. We save the children first, then the elderly, then everyone else by lottery. Lisa looked surprised. You want us to save the weakest first? That is what civilization means, Cyrilleth said. We protect those who cannot protect themselves. Lisa made more notes on her datapad. Of course, we will follow your instructions exactly. The next few hours were chaos. Human ships arrived at Ethermoor from all directions. They came in small groups, never more than a few dozen at a time. Each group took on passengers and left quickly. But something strange was happening. Amy noticed it first when she was tracking. The evacuation progress. Lisa, Amy said privately, the numbers do not add up. What do you mean? We have evacuated 60 million people, but our ships can only carry 50 million. And look at this. Amy showed Lisa her calculations. The transport ships are reporting they are full, but their energy signatures suggest they are almost empty. Lisa smiled. Good observation. Kate is still sending us intelligence from inside the swarm. Their advanced scouts are reporting everything. They see to the main fleet. I do not understand. The swarm scouts see human ships arriving at Ethermoor. They see the ships loading passengers. They report this to their commanders. The swarm thinks they know exactly how many people we are. Evacuating. Amy's eyes widened. But we are not really evacuating them. Oh, we are evacuating them, Lisa said. Just not the way the swarm thinks. While the human ships appeared to struggle with their evacuation, something else was happening. Every elf transport ship that left Ethermoor was carrying twice as many people as normal. The elf ships were designed for comfort and efficiency. But Lisa had suggested they could carry more people if they removed all furniture and packed passengers like cargo. The real evacuation was happening with elf ships, but the swarm was watching human ships instead. Lieutenant Kate Sullivan was still imprisoned on the swarm command ship. She had become valuable to them as a source of human intelligence. The shadow creatures brought her to the brain room every day for questioning. Your ships are performing badly, the brain said to Kate. They move slowly and carry few passengers. Kate hung her head in shame. Human ships are not good for evacuation. We told the Alliance this, but they made us try anyway. How many humans will escape Ethermoor? Maybe 30 million, Kate lied. Our ships keep breaking down. Some cannot even make the journey. The brain made its static sound. This is as expected. Humans are inefficient at all tasks. Kate nodded, sadly. But inside, she was counting. Every piece of false information she gave the swarm helped her friends. The brain thought it was learning about human capabilities, but it was really learning a carefully constructed lie. On Ethermoor, the bay, evacuation continued. Commander Cyrilleth worked without rest, coordinating the movement of billions of people. She had never seen such organized chaos. The strangest part was how human ships kept arriving in the wrong places. They would come to loading zones that were already full. They would take passengers to the wrong staging areas. They would leave half empty when they could have carried more people. But somehow, the overall evacuation was proceeding faster than anyone had expected. Scholar Vaylin watched everything with growing suspicion. She had been studying human behavior for days. The more she watched, the more certain she became that humans were not as disorganized as they appeared. Late in the evacuation, Vaylin approached Lisa at one of the loading zones. "Captain Morgan," she said, "I have been observing your operations." "I hope we are not disappointing you too much," Lisa said. "We are doing our best, but human ships were not designed for this kind of work." "No," Vaylin said slowly. "I do not think they were. But that is not what interests me." Lisa looked up from her data pad. "What interests you?" "Every mistake your ships make serves a purpose. Every delay creates an opportunity. Every failure enables a success somewhere else." Lisa was quiet for a moment. "Sometimes accidents work out for the best." "These are not accidents," Vaylin said with certainty. "You are orchestrating something. I can see the pattern, even if I cannot understand all of it." Lisa looked around to make sure no one else was listening. Then she stepped closer to the elf scholar. "What you are seeing is the difference between elf thinking and human thinking," Lisa said quietly. "Elves plan perfectly and execute flawlessly. That is your strength, but it is also predictable. And humans? Humans plan badly and execute worse, but we adapt constantly. We make mistakes on purpose. We succeed by failing in the right ways." Vaylin stared at her. "You are intentionally appearing incompetent. To an enemy that measures everything by efficiency, incompetence is invisible," Lisa said. "They see our failures and dismiss us. They do not see that our failures are achieving our goals." "What goals?" Lisa pointed to the sky where elf transport ships were leaving the planet in steady streams. "We are evacuating everyone. All 4 billion people. The swarm thinks we are saving 30 million humans while billions of elves die. In reality, we are saving everyone while making it look like a partial failure." Vaylin's eyes grew wide. "How?" "Misdirection. The swarm watches human ships because we taught them that humans handle evacuations. They ignore elf ships because those are just doing normal transport runs. But every elf ship is carrying twice its normal load through routes the swarm does not know exist. That is impossible. We do not have routes the swarm does not know about." Lisa smiled. "You do now. Amy has been mapping hyperspace currents that only work for ships with crude navigation systems. Kate has been feeding the swarm false information about elf capabilities, and I have been coordinating everything to look like organized chaos." Vaylin realized the full scope of what was happening. "You have been planning this since the war began." "Since before the war began," Lisa corrected. "We knew the swarm was coming months ago. We have been preparing ever since." "Why did you not tell us?" "Because if you had known the plan, you would have executed it perfectly. And perfect execution is exactly what the swarm expects from you. They needed to see you acting normally while humans appeared too." Scholar Vaylin Starweaver could not sleep. She walked through the quiet corridors of Nexus Point Station in the middle of the night cycle. Her mind was full of questions about the humans. The evacuation of Ethermoor had been impossible. Yet, it had happened. 4 billion elves were alive because of human planning, but the official reports said humans had only saved 30 million people and done a poor job of it. Vaylin had access to all Alliance records. She was a scholar, after all. Her job was to study and understand, so she began to study the humans. She pulled up battle reports from the past 6 months, every engagement between the Alliance and the Swarm. She read them carefully, looking for patterns. What she found made her hands shake. In every battle, human scouts had made mistakes. They had reported enemy positions incorrectly. They had missed important details. They had sent wrong information to Alliance commanders, but when Valen looked at the outcomes, something strange emerged. Every human mistake had led to better results for the Alliance. Every wrong report had put Alliance ships in exactly the right place. Every missed detail had prevented the swarm from setting successful traps. It was mathematically impossible for so many mistakes to accidentally help the Alliance. Valen gathered more data. She studied supply runs where human ships had delivered goods to the wrong locations. She examined patrol routes where human vessels had gotten lost and ended up in unexpected places. She reviewed communication logs where human officers had sent garbled messages. Every single failure had created an advantage for the Alliance. Valen realized she was looking at the most sophisticated deception campaign in galactic history. The humans were not just lying to the enemy, they were lying to their own allies. The next morning, Valen requested a private meeting with War Prime Zexathara and Hive Speaker Velnara. She did not invite any humans. They met in a secure room, deep inside the station. Valen spread her research across the table. "We have been deceived," she said simply. War Prime Zexathara looked at the data with her sharp yellow eyes. "What is this?" "Evidence that humans have been manipulating this entire war," Valen said. "Every mistake they have made has helped us. Every failure has created success. Every weakness has become strength." Hive Speaker Velnara clicked her mandibles thoughtfully. "The collective has noticed anomalies in human behavior patterns. But we assume this was due to their inferior mental capabilities." "Their mental capabilities are not inferior," Valen said. "They are different. Humans think in ways that confuse even me. They plan failures to achieve victories. They act weak to become strong." War Prime Zexathara slammed her clawed hand on the table. "You are saying they lied to us?" "I am saying they are lying to everyone, including the swarm. The question is, why?" The three alien leaders studied the evidence for an hour. Slowly, the pattern became clear. Humans had been feeding false information to the swarm through their captured scout, Kate Sullivan. They had been making themselves appear incompetent while secretly coordinating Alliance victories. They had been planning strategies that looked random but achieved specific goals. "We must confront Captain Morgan," said War Prime Zexathara. "No," said Valen quickly. "If we confront her directly, she will simply deny everything. Humans are very good at denial." "Then what do we do?" "We watch, we learn, and we wait for the right moment to understand their true plan." That afternoon, Captain Lisa Morgan sat in another strategy meeting. The swarm was preparing for their final assault on the Alliance. Intelligence reports showed massive fleets gathering in the outer systems. "This is it," said Commander Cyrillith. "They are bringing everything they have. If we lose this battle, we lose the war." Lisa looked at her notes. "Where will the final battle take place?" "The Kandor system," said War Prime Zexathara. "It is the gateway to the core worlds. If they take Kandor, they can strike at any planet in Alliance space." Lisa studied the star charts on her data pad. Kandor was a perfect place for a large battle. Lots of open space, good sight lines, multiple approach routes. "What is our strategy?" Lisa asked. "Simple," said Commander Cyrillith. "We bring every ship we have. We fight with everything we possess. We win or we die." Lisa nodded. "Where should human ships be positioned?" "In the rear," said War Prime Zexathara firmly. "Your vessels are too weak for frontline combat. You will provide support and communications." "Of course," Lisa said. "We understand our limitations." But Valen was watching Lisa's face carefully. For just a moment, the human captain's expression changed. It was quick, but Valen caught it. Lisa had smiled. Not a happy smile, a satisfied smile. After the meeting, Valen followed Lisa at a distance. She watched as Lisa met with Dr. Amy, Carter, and other human officers. They spoke in low voices and made notes on their data pads. Valen could not hear their words, but she could see their body language. These were not defeated people planning a desperate last stand. These were people who knew something the others did not. That night, Valen used her security clearance to access human communication logs. Most of the messages were routine: supply requests, personnel reports, technical updates. But buried in the routine traffic, Valen found something interesting. The humans were sending coded messages to ships throughout the Alliance fleet. The codes were simple, but they referenced things that made no sense. Weather reports for systems with no planets. Maintenance schedules for equipment that did not exist. Personnel transfers for people who were not real. Valen realized she was looking at a hidden communication network. The humans had been secretly coordinating with selected ships and stations throughout Alliance space. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Kate Sullivan was brought before the swarm brain for another interrogation. The shadow creatures had become almost friendly with her. They treated her like a valuable pet. "The final battle approaches," the brain said. "What will humans do?" Kate looked frightened. "We will try to help, but human ships are not strong enough for real fighting. Captain Morgan is very worried." "What worries her most?" "That we will all die," Kate said, with fake tears in her eyes. "Human ships cannot survive against your weapons. We are only staying with the Alliance because we have nowhere else to go." "Will humans retreat when the battle becomes difficult?" Kate nodded sadly. "Probably. Humans always run when things get dangerous. It is our nature." The brain made its satisfied, static sound. "This information is valuable. The human fleet will break first, creating openings in the Alliance formation." "Yes," Kate agreed. "Humans are the weak link in any chain." But as Kate spoke, she was also listening. The shadow creatures talked to each other when they thought she could not understand their language. They were planning something special for the human ships, something that would destroy them all quickly so the swarm could focus on the stronger elf and alien vessels. Kate memorized everything she heard. When she was returned to her cell, she activated her hidden transmitter and sent the information to Lisa's team. 2 days before the final battle, Dr. Amy Carter made an important discovery. She had been analyzing swarm ship movements for months. She had learned to predict their patterns. "Lisa," Amy said excitedly, "I know where they are going to position their command ships." "Show me." Amy pulled up a 3-dimensional map of the Kandor system. The swarm always puts their command vessels in the same relative position, back and to the left of their main formation, protected by heavy cruisers but with clear communication lines to all their fleets. Lisa studied the map. "You are certain?" 97% certain. They have used this formation in every major battle." Lisa smiled. "Perfect. Signal the special teams. It is time to reveal our preparations." Amy looked confused. "What special teams?" "The ones we have been positioning for months," Lisa said. "Did you think the supply runs and patrol missions were really random?" Amy realized that Lisa had been planning far ahead. Human ships had been visiting specific locations throughout Alliance space for months. Always with good reasons, always with legitimate missions, but always leaving small things behind. "What did we leave?" Amy asked. "Mines, sensor networks, hidden weapon platforms, emergency supply caches." Lisa pulled up a secret map on her data pad. "We have been preparing the battlefield since this war began." The map showed dozens of hidden installations throughout the Kandor system. Weapons that could be activated remotely. Sensors that could track enemy movements. Surprises that no one expected. "How did you hide all this from our own allies?" "We did not hide it," Lisa said. "We hid it in plain sight. Every installation is labeled as a research station or communication, relay or emergency depot. All perfectly normal and boring." Amy stared at the map. "This is the most elaborate trap in military history." And the swarm is walking right into it. On the day of the final battle, the Alliance fleet gathered at Kandor. 3,000 ships from all member species. It was the largest space fleet ever assembled. The human ships took their assigned positions in the rear formation. They looked small and insignificant compared to the massive elf dreadnoughts and alien battle cruisers. Commander Cyrilleth gave the final briefing. Today we fight for the survival of our civilizations. We have no reserves, no reinforcements, no second chances. We win here, or we lose everything. War Prime Zexthara roared her agreement. Tiv Mind is focused. The battle began with a roar of weapons fire that lit up the darkness of space. The Alliance fleet charged forward while the swarm moved to meet them. 5,000 black ships faced 3,000 vessels of many colors and designs. Captain Lisa. Morgan sat quietly in her command chair aboard the human flagship. Around her, officers worked at their stations with calm efficiency. They did not look like people facing impossible odds. All human ships, begin random evasive maneuvers, Lisa ordered. Make it look like we are panicking. On the main view screen, Lisa watched as human vessels scattered in all directions. To the Alliance commanders, it looked like the human formation was falling apart under pressure. To the swarm, it looked like humans were doing exactly what Kate Sullivan had predicted they would do, but Scholar Valen knew better. She was aboard the elf flagship, watching human ship movements on her tactical display. The ships were not moving randomly at all. They were taking specific positions throughout the battle zone. Commander Cyrilleth noticed the human retreat. Captain, Morgan, she called over the communication link. Your ships are breaking formation. Lisa's voice came back sounding stressed and apologetic. We are sorry, Commander. Our crews are frightened. We are trying to regroup, but it is difficult. Fall back to the reserve position, Cyrilleth ordered. Stay out of the main battle until you can control your people. Understood, Lisa said. We will do our best. But instead of falling back, human ships continued to move forward. They stayed at the edges of the fighting, looking lost and confused. Swarm ships ignored them completely. Why waste weapons on an enemy that was already defeated? Dr. Amy Carter was busy at her station, tracking swarm ship positions. Everything was going according to the pattern she had predicted. The swarm command ships were taking their usual position, back and to the left of their main formation. Lisa, Amy said quietly. Command ships are in position. Confirmed, Lisa replied. Kate, can you hear us? Lieutenant Kate Sullivan's voice came through a hidden communication channel. She was still aboard the swarm command vessel, but she had secretly activated equipment that let her hear Alliance communications. I hear you, Kate whispered. I am ready. Execute Phase 1. Kate moved quickly in her cell. She had been preparing for this moment for weeks. Hidden in her clothing was a small device that looked like a medical scanner, but it was actually something much more dangerous. Kate activated the device and placed it against the wall of her cell. The device sent out a signal that spread through the swarm ship's electrical systems. It was not an attack. It was a key. Throughout the galaxy, human devices that had been planted months ago began to activate. The research stations revealed themselves to be weapon platforms. The communication relays started jamming swarm signals. The emergency depots opened to release clouds of metallic particles that interfered with swarm sensors. But the most important activation was happening right in the command ship where Kate was held. Human technicians had been captured over the past months. Each one had been questioned by the swarm brain. Each one had carried hidden devices in their bodies. The devices activated all at once. They did not explode or attack directly. Instead, they created a feedback loop in the swarm's collective communication network. The brain that had been interrogating Kate suddenly found itself receiving too much information. Every swarm ship was trying to report everything they saw to the command network at the same time. The brain could not process it all. For the first time in the war, The swarm coordination broke down. Lisa watched her tactical display as swarm ships began to move erratically. They were no longer acting as one mind. Each ship was making its own decisions, and those decisions were often wrong. All Alliance ships, Lisa broadcasted on an open channel. The enemy coordination is disrupted. Attack pattern 7-7 Alpha. Commander. Cyrileth was surprised to hear Lisa giving tactical orders, but the human captain was right. The swarm formation was falling apart. How did you know? Cyrileth asked. Lucky guess, Lisa said, but she was already implementing Phase 2 of her plan. Throughout the battle zone, human ships that had been retreating in panic suddenly revealed their true purpose. They were not running away. They were moving into attack positions. The swarm had ignored these small, weak vessels. But the human ships had been carrying special weapons, not big guns or powerful missiles. Instead, they carried the most dangerous weapon in the human arsenal: computer viruses. The viruses were designed by Amy Carter based on months of studying swarm technology. They did not try to destroy swarm systems. Instead, they made small changes. To swarm targeting computers, swarm weapons began missing their targets by tiny amounts. A shot that should have destroyed an elf cruiser instead passed harmlessly through space. A missile that should have hit an alien battleship exploded too early or too late. War Prime Zexthara noticed the change immediately. Their weapons are malfunctioning, she roared with joy. All ships, press the attack! The alien and elf fleets surged forward. For the first time in the war, they were winning a direct fight against the swarm. But Valen was watching something else. Human ships were moving toward the swarm command vessels. Not attacking them. Just getting close. Captain Morgan, Valen called over a private channel. What are you doing? Lisa's response was honest for the first time in months. What humans do best. We are cheating. The human ships reached the swarm command area just as Kate activated the final phase of her mission. She had been saving her most important information for this moment. Lisa, Kate whispered into her hidden transmitter. The brain is trying to regain control. It is sending new coordination signals on frequency 779.3. Amy. Carter immediately began jamming that frequency. But more importantly, she began broadcasting false signals on the same frequency. The human ships carried powerful transmitters that could mimic swarm communication protocols. The swarm ships began receiving orders that seemed to come from their own command brain, but the orders were written by humans. All swarm vessels, retreat. To Rally Point Alpha, Amy broadcasted in perfect swarm communication format. Enemy coordination is compromised. Switch to backup formation 9. Priority target identified. All ships focus fire on the large asteroid at coordinates 472. The swarm ships followed these orders because they thought they came from their command brain. But there was no Rally Point Alpha. Backup Formation 9 did not exist, and the asteroid they were shooting at was empty space. Commander Cyrileth watched in amazement as the entire swarm fleet began attacking nothing while moving away from the real battle. This is impossible, she said. How are you controlling their ships? Lisa finally revealed the truth. We have been planning this since before the war officially began. We detected the swarm months ago and used that time to prepare. Prepare how? We studied them. We learned their communication protocols. We planted agents and equipment throughout their fleet. We fed them false information about our capabilities. And we made them think they understood us when they did not understand us at all. War Prime Zexthara's voice came over the communication channel. You mean you have been lying to us? We have been lying to everyone, Lisa admitted, because the truth would have made our deception impossible. If you had known what we were really doing, you would have acted differently, and the swarm would have noticed the difference. Hive Speaker Velnara clicked her mandibles rapidly. The collective is confused. How long have you been planning this deception? Since the day we made first contact with the swarm, Lisa said. We realized immediately that they were stronger and faster than us. So we decided to become better at the one thing they could not understand: lying. The battle was ending. Swarm ships were scattered throughout the system, following false orders and attacking imaginary targets. Their coordination was completely broken. Their weapons were misfiring. Their command structure was in chaos. The Alliance fleet moved methodically through the confused enemy formation, destroying swarm ships one by one. It was not even a battle anymore. It was cleanup. Kate Sullivan's voice came through the communication. System 1, final time. Lisa, the command brain is shutting down. It cannot handle the conflicting information. I think the entire command ship is going dead. Time to come home, Kate, Lisa said. Can you reach an escape pod? Already on my way. An hour later, the battle was over. The swarm fleet was completely destroyed. Not a single enemy vessel escaped, but the Alliance commanders had many questions for the humans. They gathered in the main conference room aboard the Elf flagship. Commander Cyrileth, War Prime Zexathara, Hive Speaker Velnara, and Scholar Valen sat across from Captain Lisa Morgan, Dr. Amy Carter, and Lieutenant Kate Sullivan. You have been deceiving us from the beginning, Commander Cyrileth said. It was not a question. Yes, Lisa said simply. Why? Because deception only works if everyone believes it, Lisa explained. The swarm studied all of us. They learned our patterns and behaviors. If we had told you the truth, you would have acted differently. The swarm would have noticed. Our deception would have failed. Scholar Valen leaned forward. How much of what we believed about humans was false? Amy Carter answered this time. Almost everything. Human ships are not slow. We just use different routes.